I'm Jennifer Block, and this is my book, Push: The Painful Truth About Childbirth and Modern Maternity Care. I was an editor at Ms. Magazine and an editor of the new Our Bodies, Ourselves, and always was interested in women's health issues and thought that this was an important one. And I noticed that we weren't talking about childbirth, and at the same time the cesarean rate was going up, and and I began to hear stories from women that were concerning to me because it seemed that their choices had been taken away from them. So I heard stories from women who felt that they had been induced into labor when they didn't want to be induced into labor, and that it had led to a cesarean that they didn't want, and that things had been imposed on them in the hospital that they said they didn't want. And so I became concerned, and it sort of, the stories I was hearing went beyond just childbirth was painful, it was awful. It was more than that. It was more that, some dignity had been stripped from these women and their experiences. And so I began to look into it. The vast majority of women in this country are not getting that optimal birth experience. Their babies aren't getting the optimal birth experience. The optimal experience, we know from the research, is a physiological birth with minimum interference, minimum medical intervention, unless it's necessary. I think we have this idea that we can, somehow avoid the pain of birth by having a cesarean. And sure, once you have that spinal, you don't feel anything during the operation, but that recovery is much longer and much more painful than it would be for a vaginal birth. There's really no way around some form of pain. Very few women get through without feeling pain, making it very difficult for women who are seeking that optimal experience. Midwives are often inaccessible. Women who are trying to have vaginal births after cesarean are being denied the option. Very few doctors are even aware of how to deliver a breech baby vaginally anymore, even though research has shown that it can be just as safe. And so we're pushing toward more and more cesareans, more and more surgical births, and we're seeing from the experience of other countries that this is a major public health issue that we should be concerned about, because when the cesarean rate starts to go above the 10 to 15% mark, we end up seeing more complications, more hemorrhages, more maternal deaths, and we're finding out that even though we thought that this was a better way for the baby to come out, it turns out not to be.